Hi everybody, Lori here from Unique in the Creek. We are going to be making a Blue Jays wreath. I'm just going to wait for a few more people to pop on. I picked 8:30. It's an odd time. What's that, hon? I don't know. I don't know why I picked 8:30. I just did. Oh, people are coming on. Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's well. So I'm going to make a Blue Jays wreath. Been wanting to make this for a bit. I just haven't got around to it. I made a digital printout of just the Blue Jays symbol. And I have this really cool 21-inch mesh I was going to show you guys how to use on our boards. So, hi everybody. I'm feeling a little bit better, Amber. Thank you, Christina. Yeah, I think I'm just really worn out and tired. Even though I was on vacation, I really wasn't on vacation. It was crazy busy. And then even when we were in the hotel trying to relax, I was working, answering emails, making digital things, even though it was kind of relaxing doing that because I enjoy doing that. But during the day, it was go, 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 a lot of driving. Ah, Lunenburg! We were just there. You got a Blue Note 2 sweatshirt, didn't you, from Lunenburg? Oh yes, Dave got a Lunenburg sweatshirt. Hi, Frankie from Georgia. Okay, so I am going to just quickly, I started the wreath already because our wreaths are so simple. And to do this is basically the same as you've been watching for the character wreaths with the Mod Podging. And I've done a few other ones. I did a Franklin wreath where it had the Franklin name in the middle and stuff. So this one, now I have started it. I will face it down. And I just hate wasting people's time. So I've started the basic so we can get this done quick. But I left some spaces to show you how I did this. So I'm just going to face my camera down. Yep, I do feel better, a little bit better today. I woke up with a bit of a fever this morning, but I've taken some Tylenol and stuff. And felt like crafting tonight since I didn't make it out to my trailer again. I don't even know why we have one. We made it out once. So, oh well, it is what it is. So I'm going to face my camera down, and I'm going to show you guys what I've started. Anybody from Toronto watching? Let's go, Blue Jays. Let's go. Oh, Dave's looking at me funny. Okay, so as you can see, I have started this already. I haven't put my ribbons and stuff in, and I did leave some spaces here so I can show you guys how I did this. And I'm actually using 21-inch mesh because I had this 21-inch mesh and I really liked it for this wreath. I only had one roll of it, and I think it's from Christmas of last year. So I only had one roll of it, but it was perfect for my Blue Jays wreath. So this is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to show you guys how you can do a ruffle method with 21-inch as well. And I got this really, really nifty. I don't know if you guys have seen these before, these mesh holders. I got this one from Pizzazzy. Her name's Stephanie Foley, and she has an Etsy store on called Pizzazzy, and some of the proceeds do go for donation for cancer. But she was kind enough to send me this. I don't know if I can scan. There we go. So it's really cool. It's like a dowel, and it just, you put your mesh in, so you could put 2 rolls of 10-inch, And then you put the dowel down in the slot, and it's really well made. Like, it's nice and smooth and everything. And then there's this bar here that you put your mesh through. You guys have probably seen this, but me being in Canada, I don't see much. But she was really kind enough to reach out to me and send me one. And I love it. So once you get your mesh through, it's much easier than I'm making it look. There we go. Then it stays and it doesn't get all jumbled up, because mine's like crazy. I get it all over the place. But anyways, thank you, Stephanie from Pizzazzy, for sending me this. I really, really love it. Okay, and what I'm going to be using is this chevron blue ribbon that I found. This baseball stitching ribbon, I'm going to make bows with it. Now, I'm not making this wreath too frou-frou because it is a baseball wreath, and baseball wreaths don't need to be too blingy or showy or anything. So I just found this nice stitching, and then I also found this, just this simple baseball ribbon. So I got 4 pieces. I've cut in 12 inches. I've cut 4 pieces of this one, and I believe it's about 24 inches. 24 inches. So this one I'm going to make like 4 bows within the wreath with it. This ribbon I did 12 inches, 12 inches, and then these ones I just did 10 inches because these ones I'm going to use for the outside of the wreath. And I'm going to show you what I mean in a second. So I'm just going to put my ribbons to the side. Okay. So if you've seen our wreaths before, you've probably seen me do the centers. Now, once this is done, I'll push the mesh back and everything. But this is just a center I've done, and I've Mod Podged it onto the frame. Now, this frame, it's for me, this wreath, I just used one of our old flower boards. So it does have the holes still in it for the flower boards, but you can use, if you have flower boards and you want to make a character wreath, you can still use the flower boards to do character wreaths if you have some extra or whatever, if you're waiting around for your order. You just have to use a thicker paper. So this paper I actually used on here is 100-pound cardstock. So it's a little bit thicker than the normal paper we've been using for the character wreaths, because the normal paper is perfect because the character wreaths have a solid center. So you don't need to use the heavyweight paper. So this one is just, I think it's 32 pounds, but you can use 24 up to 100-pound 11 by 17 legal size paper. So whatever they have, it will be fine. If you are using a flower board to do like a wreath like this, you will want to use the 100-pound so you don't see the holes coming through your image, the holes on the back side. Okay, so I was just using some of these up, and that's what I did. So what I did is I got my paper and I cut around the circle. Now the faces will either you cut around the whole colored circle, or if it's a sign, there'll be a faint light gray circle that you can cut around. Okay, so you would cut this out, and it doesn't have to be perfect because you really don't see the edges of any of the faces or signs. These are 10.5 by 10.5, and it fits perfectly on the character board just before the first set of holes that you're going to use. So you're going to cut it out, and this is what I did with the Blue Jays one. I just cut it out. Okay, and this is garbage now. And then you are going to, I'm going to use one of these boards. I might just use the back side. So what you would do with this is, so your sign will cover up these holes. So if I used Mrs. Innifield, you can see how, you can see how she's just outside the holes. So when you do put your mesh on, you're not going to see the edge of the paper. So you don't have to really worry too much about cutting it perfectly in a circle, because you're really only going to see this part of her face, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to slap on some Mod Podge. So pretty much, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because there's several videos of us doing it. You put the Mod Podge on, then you would put your face or your sign or whatever you're putting on your board. So you would put it on just like this, and you can move it around, but it does dry quite quickly. And then once you have it on, you can get a credit card or a squeegee and flatten it out, and making sure that all the air bubbles are out. Okay, so you're going to put quite a bit of Mod Podge on. Now, when you do go to swipe it with the card, you can take the excess Mod Podge and put it back in your container, so you're not wasting. When I go to do the card, I like to put Mod Podge just a little bit on top of my sign. So when I go to swipe my card, let's see if I can just use, you could even use a popsicle stick or whatever. So when you go to swipe it, it goes nice and smooth. And you are going to get excess Mod Podge coming out, which is a good thing because you want it sealed all the way around. I like to tell people to use the outdoor Mod Podge because it is for outdoor use, and these are going on doors, so you do want to seal it somewhat from the weather. Hi, everybody. If you're going to use just normal Mod Podge, which I have this huge container, so I always use the normal one until I run out. Once my face is dry, my face or my sign is dry, I then spray it with some kind of clear spray, an indoor-outdoor. This one is the Rust-Oleum clear. It goes on wood, metal, plastic, anything. It just gives it a coat to protect, because this is only paper, so we want to make sure that it doesn't fade or wear out or anything. So if you give it once the Mod Podge is dried, you can give it a quick spray, and I have done that for the Blue Jays one already. I sprayed it just before the live, and it's already dry. So I know then that it's going to be okay up on the door, okay? But if you're using the outdoor Mod Podge, you really don't have to spray it again because it does have the built-in outdoor sealant in it. Okay, so once your sign or your face is dry, you can then start cutting your mesh, or while it's drying, you can cut your mesh. Now, like I said, I'm using 21-inch mesh, and I don't normally use 21-inch mesh. I always use 10-inch, but I really liked this mesh for my Blue Jays. This out of the way. Now, to use the 21-inch mesh, you can actually make 2 wreaths out of 1 roll. So using our frames really is economical because you don't have to use very much supplies for this. So I'm doing the ruffle method on my Blue Jays wreath. So this is what it's going to look like. Okay, and of course I got my handy dandy clothespins. Hi, everybody. Okay, so what I've done is I put my mesh at the end of my cutting mat. Now, if you want to use a rotary cutter or a wood burner, I don't recommend the wood burners, but if you want clean lines or non-frays, you could use either or. You can use scissors, or you can use, I use electric scissors. So when I was cutting it earlier, I was just going along the white line. But as I'm opening up my roll a little further, my white line's starting to get jagged. So I'm just going to follow straight up because my 9-inch mark is here. So I'm doing my pieces 9 inches by 21. So because the roll is 21. So I'm just going to guess. It looks like it's going up the middle here. There we go. So even with the electric scissors, you can see there's hardly any fray because it cuts it so fast. So I need to finish this, I'm going to need 2 more pieces. So this is what you're going to have, a 9-inch wide by 21-inch long piece. Okay, I'm going to cut another one. Okay, so I need 4 more pieces. Like I said, I've already started it. So I'm going to show you how I put the pieces in, and then we can move on to the ribbons. So we're not dragging this all out. But if you can see, I skipped the only holes I'm using on this frame are the sets of 3 holes. Okay, because I'm using 21-inch mesh and I'm doubling it over, the mesh is very, very full. So I don't need to use all of the holes. So the only holes, like I said, I'm using are these 8 outside holes. And that's to make the wreath really big and full. And then I'm using the inner 2 holes that are a part of that 3rd hole. So really, you only need 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. You only need 16 pieces of mesh. So it's really, really economical to make these. And then the sign is about $1 something at Staples or Home Depot, Office Max. It all depends where you're going, but it's around $1. So you probably even get 3 wreaths out of one 21-inch roll. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to fold these. So I'm just going to put this out of the way. I don't need that anymore. So I have a lot of mesh left, and I'm done with this mesh for the 1 wreath. So you can see there's probably another 2 wreaths left out of this mesh that you can get. Oh, the electric scissors are, I get them on Amazon. I've had these ones for over 2 years now, and they're just rechargeable, but you know, I charge them maybe once a month. So they're really, I love them. They're fantastic. Okay, so we have our 9-inch by 21-inch piece. Okay, and what I do is I'm going to fold this over. So you're not going to make another cut or anything to this piece. The less cutting, the better for the phrase. So I'm going to fold this over, and I'm going to match the corner up. And I'm just going to put a clothespin there. And then I'm going to bring it along and match the other corner up. And again, I'm going to put a clothespin. Okay, and that's keeping it nice and even for me, so it does look like one uniform piece. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is with the folded side here, and we have our seared edges here, or our finished edges on this side, and the folded side this side, I'm going to scrunch up the middle where I've cut the mesh, so we don't see any of the cut edges. So what I'm going to do is approximately halfway, I'm just going to scrunch with my 4 fingers and my thumb, scrunch up the middle, and you're going to make kind of like a bow. Okay, and you can take your clothespin off and just clip it in the middle, and this one. So you have a nice bow looking thing, and this is with a 21-inch mesh. So as you can see, you really don't need to use every hole because this is a pretty full piece of mesh, and when you start squishing them all together and then putting ribbons on and everything, you really don't need a lot. So I like to save money anywhere we can. So even though when we finish the wreath, it will look like a very expensive wreath, but you don't tell that to anybody. That's your secret. So again, you're just going to fold the 21-inch piece down, and I match up the corner and clip it. And I'm going to clip it, and then I'm going to match up the sides. Okay, and there we go. We got one nice uniform piece. And then again, I'm going to approximately go in the middle and start scrunching again, right up the center. Okay, making a bow, and then I'm going to put my clothespin in the center. Okay, so you can do all, if you have a bunch of clothespins, you can do all your ruffles. Hi, Tony. You can do all your ruffles all at once and just toss them to the side. So for this wreath, we needed 16 of them. So you can make 16 ruffles and toss them to the side. And everybody knows that watches me knows I I wreath and watch TV. So I pretty much do everything on my lap. My tutorials I do at my living room table here, mostly. Sometimes I'll go into the dining room. Okay, so I'm just going to put these to the side. Now I'm going to bring my wreath up. Okay, so I've already, like I said, if you're just joining us, I've already started some of it, but I'm going to finish and I'm going to show you what I've done. So what I've used is I'm going to be using the 8 outside, very outside holes here, okay? And these outside holes are going to be used with the zip tie going over the edge of the frame. And why I do this is because when we zip it in, this ruffle is going to make this wreath look really large, okay? Without having to put so much mesh in it. So that's what we're going to use for these 8 outside holes. And then I've used the 2 below, the set of holes below that hole. I've used those. These holes I'm not going to use. If I were using just 10-inch mesh, I would probably double up 10-inch mesh for every other one and then just put a single piece in these ones. But because it's already really full, I'm not going to waste mesh because it'll just look really, really squished. So, and what I've done now too, is you can pre-do this as well, is I've zipped in my ruffles, but the zip tie is really loose. So I can put my finger through there, and I've done it really loose because I'm going to add ribbons to these. So I just wanted to get the wreath base done, which is really easy, and I'll show you in 1 second. Oh, hi, Sue-Ann. Welcome. I'm not as lively, Sue-Ann, as I usually am because I'm not feeling the greatest, but I felt like crafting. So I craft with my online friends. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using this outside hole, and I'm going to be using this outside hole, and then I'm going to be using these 2 holes, okay? So what I'm going to do, the rule of thumb that I always teach when using our boards is when you're going to use your zip tie. Now you don't have to use zip ties, okay? You can use pipe cleaners. I use zip ties all the time because it's convenient. I don't like the twisting for the pipe cleaners and cutting on the wire and then getting prickered because, you know, the ends are sharp and everything.
What?
Prickered.
Okay.
Is that another word? It pricks. The wire pricks.
Prickered.
Or hurts. Prickards. Whatever. Anyways, so I use 6-inch zip ties. You can use 5, 6, 7, even 8-inch zip ties. Hi, Mom. Mom's always on. It doesn't matter the length of the zip tie. It's actually the pound of it. So what I mean is there's different size zip ties, and the ones I get are from Uline. Now they have Amazon has really good ones too, but what you want to look for is 18-inch pound. These are really, really lightweight zip ties, and they're not thick. So now this is the same size zip tie. I don't know if you guys can see that, but this is a heavier, and so I think this is like to hold 30 pounds. So it's the strength, but with the strength comes, oh, hold on, bigger heads. Okay, so this head is much bigger than this one. So this is the thicker one. If you get 18 pounds, it'll have a small head. And why I say get the small ones is because our holes are meant for the head of the zip ties to pop right in. Okay, so that's the whole thing about the zip ties. So I did put a few links on Amazon, or from Amazon on the Facebook page. That's somewhere in there. If you just search zip ties, it'll come up.
Where do you get the center decal? You can't do that one because it's a blue jay.
No. Well, I make the center decals, and now this one I'm making for myself. I would never go on and sell it like on Etsy, because if you sell something like this on Etsy, you're going to get shut down right away. Etsy's really, really strict, but I don't have an Etsy account, never have. So I just sell on Facebook, and you know, if people ask if I can make something for them or whatever, I'll do it on the side and stuff. I did post a Festivus sourpuss. Festivus sourpuss. That one, the one that said Merry Grinchmas, I use basically for teaching workshops at Christmas time. Like I said, I wouldn't go on and sell the wreath completed, especially on Etsy. Facebook is not too bad, but Etsy, definitely you will get an infringement and yada yada, even if it's even close to it. So if you have an Etsy, don't be putting anything that resembles Festivus sourpuss. So, but you know what, like Facebook and, you know, the garage sale sites, and, you know, if you're selling it locally or making it for your friends and stuff like that, it's okay. It is a copyright, but, you know, everybody kind of does it. So I shouldn't be saying that, you know, condoning it, but they're so cute. Who doesn't want Grinch and everything on their door at Christmas? I mean, Festivus sourpuss.
We use round metal signs in the middle.
Yes, you can. You can use.
How did you attach it?
Okay, so for any signs that you want to use on our boards, now I think I've done a couple Facebook Lives. If you have like a round metal sign or even a square sign or whatever, if you get at Dollar Tree, they have the round floral styrofoam. There's floral centers, okay, and they're like $2 for $1. You guys have probably, if you're a wreather, you've probably seen them. You can get that. Hold on one second. Oh, it's Lolly. She probably wants to ride home. If you get one of those, so they're only like 50 cents, you could E6000 that piece of styrofoam to the back of that sign. And then once it's dry, you can E6000 the styrofoam right onto the frame. And the sign will actually, it's like a lift for the sign. So your sign will just sit above your mesh, which is really, really nice. So it's not going to get squished in the mesh or anything. So you can raise it or lower it as much as you want just by using styrofoam. So if you want your sign to be really high up off the mesh, then you would get a thicker piece of styrofoam. If you want it just sitting on the mesh, like, you know, mesh level, then that Dollar Tree circular floral foam works perfect, and it's only 50 cents. So it's really, really easy, and then you don't have to wire them on and everything. I wouldn't suggest just normal hot glue. I would suggest E6000 or hot Gorilla glue. That really, really works well too. But just normal, everyday hot glue, I wouldn't do that. Oh, I'm on my own? That's okay. Okay, so yeah, so you can do signs, no problem at all. But I like to have mine just right on the board, and then I'm not worrying about it falling off or whatever. And you can, if you're good at making digital anything, you can make your own. You just have to make a 10.5-inch circle and put whatever you want in the center of your, sorry, my daughter's out at a sleepover. It's her again. Yeah, and then you can just send it over to Staples or whatever and get it printed. So you can pull some stuff off the internet if you're using it for yourself, just as long as it isn't somebody else's artwork.
Can Brooklyn come over for your sleepover?
Oh, I don't care. And look what I'm drinking.
Okay.
Just for the occasion. Bud Light, go Blue Jays, go! She's coming for a sleepover. Yes. They probably want to go swimming tomorrow. Okay, back to the wreath. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I am going to put our first ruffle. So when I use my zip ties, I always feel, because I never look down from the TV usually, but I feel that the flat side is facing the ceiling, and I'll go through the bottom up through the hole. So I'm using the third. Let me move this up a bit. So I'm using that very outside hole. You're going to take one of your ruffles. You can take the clothespin off the ruffle, and you're going to put the middle of your ruffle, so don't let it go. You're going to put the middle of your ruffle right in between the hole and the outside of this board, okay? And then once you got it in the middle, you're going to come over with your zip tie, and you're going to zip it, and you're just going to, when you know your zip tie is right, you'll hear the zipping sound. If you're not familiar with zip ties, the tail always goes into the flat side of the zip tie, so there's a flat part on the head, and you'll hear a, okay, and then when you pull it, it's not going to come undone. Okay, so it's pretty hard to do it backwards, especially if you have really good zip ties. It basically is almost impossible to do backwards. So just when you're putting your zip tie in, have a feel with your thumb, and if you can feel the flat side, you know you're good. So now I'm going to go put a bow tie thing here. So I'm going to go in through the back, up through this hole. I always use the holes closest to the center. And the reason I do that as a rule of thumb is because when I zip them in the back and to pop them into the holes, they will, all the heads will be facing the same way. Oh, I miss you too, Michelle. You're doing some amazing stuff. I'm creepy. I creep some of you guys. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. And again, I'm going to put the middle of the bow tie in between this hole that I put my zip tie through and this other hole. So I'm just going to place it right in the middle. Again, I'm going to come over the mesh and down through this opposite hole. So, and then I'm going to lift my board up just a little bit, and I'm going to grab both pieces of my zip tie. And once you've done this a few times, you don't have to flip your board over. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to zip it. I'm only going to zip it till I hear a couple zips, because I want a good finger space in between there, because I am, same with the outside one, because I'm going to add some ribbons when I finish getting all the mesh on. Okay, so I'm just going to close this pin this over, and I'll close pin this one over just so I can access these three holes again. So again, I'm going up through the back, and I'm going to use this outside hole, take my bow, take the middle of the ruffle, zip ties are awesome. Okay, and in between the hole in the edge of the board. Now you don't have to use these outside holes, especially if you're going to be shipping wreaths, but it does make the wreath really big. And if you are shipping, you can move the ruffles inwards and then just put instructions that when the wreath does arrive, that they take the outer ones and just kind of move them to the outside. Because when this wreath is done, it will probably be about 24 inches in diameter. Now, you don't have to use the outside ones. You can just use all the inside ones, and your wreath will be a little bit smaller. So, but we like big. Big means money. People see something really big, they think it's costs a lot of money. But we all know it doesn't really cost very much. So, and again, we're going to put the middle in between the two holes there. I'm going to come over top of the mesh, down through the corresponding hole, flipping it over again. And I know there's a bunch of you professionals out there now that don't have to flip. Okay, so I have all my mesh on. Looks like a hot mess right now, but you can see how, I don't know if you guys can actually see how big this wreath is going to be, but it's going to be pretty awesome. Now I'll move all the mesh back once we get the ribbons and stuff in. So with my ribbons, I was thinking, okay, so I like to use, I have this stitch ribbon. It's only 1.5 inches in width. I think I'm going to put the stitch ribbon on top of this blue chevron ribbon, because I'm going to use this stitch ribbon and kind of make a bow with it in the spots. So I think I'm going to use those two together. And then I'm going to, I have these 12-inch baseball ones. They're just plain baseball. I think I'm going to use those. So we have 8 spots we need to fill. So I got 4 of these, and I'm going to do 4 of these. So these are 12-inch. Okay, now I'm just laying these out. You can mark them on your board if you're doing your ribbons as you're putting your mesh in. So I'm going to do every other one. I'm going to do the stitching and the chevron, and then I'm going to do just baseball, and then stitching, chevron, baseball, stitching, chevron, baseball, stitching. Okay, so those are the inner ones that I'm going to be doing. And then the outer pieces, I'm going to have them going towards the outside in a V with just these little 10-inch pieces. So you can see just a little bit of baseballs coming out the ends with it. I think it'll look really cool. And that's all I'm going to add to it, because, again, like I said, it is a baseball wreath, so we don't want it too frou-frou-y. Because normally it's, I shouldn't say it's a guy thing, but it is. And they don't want flowers and everything on their wreaths. Or they don't want their wives having flowers and everything on their wreaths. So these ones are going to be for my inside. So I'm just going to start with the chevron and the stitching. Now I like to dovetail the ends of my ribbon. So if you don't know what that means, I'm going to do all 4 of these pieces all at once. So dovetailing means it's that V that's usually at the bottom of a ribbon, and there's an easy way to do this. So I'm just going to line up. I got my 4 pieces of ribbon here. So these are the ends. I'm going to fold it in half, okay? And you're going to have a folded side right here, and you're going to have the edges of the open edges of the ribbon on the other side. When you're cutting for a dovetail, you always want to cut from the folded side to the outer edge, okay? If you cut it the other way, you'll know. You open it up and it'll look like a end of a tie. So if you start at the folded edge, so you can just kind of see that that's the folded, start and just go right up to the corner. I guess I should have got sharper scissors. And then when you open it up, you have perfect V's in your ribbons. Somebody showed this to me a long time ago, and it's just like, it was one of those aha things, because for the longest time, and I know there's some of you out there, you would, go down and then snip this way, and then you'd have to trim because your edge, your cut thing was all ragged. So anyways, all right, so again, from the folded side to the corner, and then you have your dovetails. Okay, now I like to do these before I put the ribbons in. That's totally up to you guys. You can do them. I do like to do them before, because I hate digging through the mesh and I always miss one, trying to find the edge ends to see if I did them. So I'm gonna, this one's a little bit more difficult because it's so thin, or the width of it. So you can do your ribbon ends, you can do it at a slant. You can do it straight across. Just always make sure you've done a nice clean cut to make sure that the ribbons do look finished. Okay, so I'm going to start right here. There's no rhyme or reason, because I am going to do every other space. So what I'm going to do is with this chevron ribbon, I'm just going to fold it in half. Okay. And I'm just going to slide it through. So it's folded in half. I'm going to slide it through the zip tie. That's why we leave the zip ties nice and loose. And then you can just open up the ribbon. Okay, and you can make sure that it's in the middle. Okay, so there's one. Now this stitched ribbon, I'm going to make kind of like a bow in here. And the easiest way I know how to do this, and you guys probably know an easier way, but for when I'm teaching in my classes, this is just an easy way to teach people so that it doesn't confuse them. I tell them just to make a circle and meet the two ends just overlapping over top. And then if you push down in the middle, then you can bring this edge and this edge. And you're going to make like a 3 pieces the same length. Yeah, probably didn't make sense to you guys, but so you have 3 pieces, okay? And you'll understand when I slide it in. So now I'm going to slide it through here, okay? Now I'm going to grab the end, and you see I'm going to grab this end, and then you can fix if it's too big or whatever. You can pull and push and everything else. But I just want it a little bow peeking through. Okay, and then you can move this however. Okay, I think that looks good. Now, of course, once you get it zipped in and it's nice and tight, you can fool around with it as much as you want. I'm just right now making sure everything's centered, that's all. And it looks pretty centered to me. So I'm just going to pull this down, and I'm going to, not too tight, but pull it till it hits the zip tie hits the board, and then I'm just going to pull it down. And the head of the zip tie will pop right into the hole. Okay, well, that looks cute already. Okay, now this one up here is where I'm going to put a short. Ribbons everywhere. I'm not a ribbon kind of girl, but I know everybody loves a ribbon, right? So these are shorter ones that I made, baseball ones, because I'm going to put them going around the outside, the 8 outside ones that we have. And I don't want a huge ribbon sticking out. I just want it peeking out. So you see little baseballs. So again, I'm going to dovetail the ends. I know this mesh, Cheryl, I got it at Christmas time at Home Depot. Now, I'm not a big 21-inch fan, but I really liked it, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it until I was playing around with mesh and figured out how to do ruffles easily, because who wants to cut more than one time using 21-inch, right? So just playing around, I figured out how to use 21-inch, just doing one cut. Okay, so I'm going to go into this zip tie here. I'm going to use this 10-inch baseball, and I'm just going to get, like I did the chevron one, I'm going to feed it through the zip tie like that. And then I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to make sure it's centered. Because once you zip it, it's not like you can't cut the zip tie if your ribbon isn't centered or anything, but it's just more time and work. Okay, so it's centered, and I'm going to have them come out the edge that way. Okay, and then the mesh, I'm going to kind of come out that way as well. I'm going to grab the tail of the zip tie. And again, just like I did this one, zip it, and as soon as it hits the board, you can start pulling down and pop it right into the hole. Okay, and then you can fix this. Well, isn't that adorbs? So I'm just going to have these little ribbons. So this set right here, I'm only going to have baseball ones coming out of the edge. I'm not going to put anything in the center. Am I? No, yes, I am. I am. Sorry. I'm going to put these baseball ones. These are 12 inches because I want these ones to be seen more than the outside ones. So usually I write on my board what ribbons is going where, and then I do the ribbons and mesh as I'm going. But I didn't want to bore you guys watching me put mesh into a board when you've probably watched me a million times do it. Okay. So again, I'm just going to fold this over. I'm going to put it through the center. And I'm not going to put anything else. I'm just going to leave just the simple baseball, because up here is the baseball, and here right beside it is the stitching. Here, lower this. I don't know if it's going to try and autofocus, but so I'm just going to zip this in, hit the board and pop it in the hole. And then this one, should I put baseballs going out? Yeah, I might as well. I got them cut. So this one's getting a double baseball. But it's not going to be showing as much. So I'm just straightening it, making sure it's even, coming out to the side. And grab the zip tie and start zipping it and pull and pop it into the hole. Now when you're finished your wreath, we're just going to cut. I don't know where my, oh, there they are. You have wire cutters, tin snips, or whatever, even scissors, just that they'll dull your scissors faster. And there we go. So we have a nice neat back. And that's it. That's all you'll see on the back is these few zip ties. Okay. So these are, once I get my ribbons in, I'm going to push all this mesh back. Are we liking this so far? It's cute, isn't it? Not too much, because sometimes, like, I'm not a frou-frou person, so I always say sometimes less is more. So you can, and you can add deco tubing or whatever floats your boat. Okay, so I'm going to push. It's very easy. No undoing and doing. I don't know about you guys, but when pipe cleaners and work frames, and I've done them all. I've been wreathing for many, many years, and that whole twisting thing, I think it's really given me carpal tunnel. So when I was making the Unique in the Creek wreath frame, I made sure that I didn't have to use pipe cleaners. So again, I'm just making sure that there's three pieces that are equal. Just fold it and bring it through the zip tie. So before you open it up, you can see if it's equal or it's centered, and it is. I'm just going to zip this already, and then I can open up my ribbon, because then once it's in there tight, it's not going anywhere, and you can just give it a yank. My chevron can't really see it, but it does give it just a little bit of a different dimension. So that's why I stuck it in there. The dogs will bark soon because the girls are home. Hi, Lolly. I'm on a live right now. Why were you watching me? What are you girls up to? Finally doing the Blue Jays wreath.
I just watched scary movies all day.
Scary movies all day. It was a good day. It was rainy. As you can hear, lady's mouth is much better. Babe, do you like my wreath?
I love it.
It's cute though, eh?
Did you hear that? You got a new pet.
I went with her. Got
You
it.
did?
Yeah.
Isn't she cute?
I picked her out. I actually paid for it. Yeah.
She's so cute.
Oh. I think that's the right size. It's really hard to tell which side's what. Lady. Good Lord. You're going to make everybody go away. Nobody wants to hear your yipping on a Saturday night. Yes, on the new boards, you do need 4 extra pieces for the centers of the roses. But your rosebud will be completely centered. You don't have to use those 4 holes, okay? You don't have to. I put them there for an option if people wanted to use them. Because some people need to have everything symmetrical. And with not using the 4 holes in the middle, it kind of put the bud of the rose a little off-centered. Okay. I'm gonna have to go around and fix these ribbons after. But I think I'm loving it already, and I haven't even fixed anything yet. Yeah, lady's back to normal. Yippee as anything. She's got to go for x-ray on the 20th. But I'm pretty confident that she is fine. She's lucky this time. You guys probably know a better way to do bows than I do. I don't do these fancy schmancy wreaths. I do simple. Yeah, there's some, oh my gosh, wreath makers out there that.
We're going to do a Lori dictionary.
A Lori dictionary?
Schmancy, prickers,
Prickery.
prickers,
Rotary.
rotary.
Yeah, yeah, there's, oh my gosh, honey, you wouldn't even believe some of the wreaths that are out there. But they also cost, you know, an arm and a leg to even make and then sell them. So they're very pretty, but you have to have a lot of money to start out to make them. And that's what people don't realize when you're at craft shows and stuff, just how much time and money goes into making like handmade stuff. But if people complain about the price, tell them to go see what's hanging up at Michael's for $100.
Like big, huge wire. I don't care for the big, huge ones either.
No, well, because they're really high. So you're layered, like with the work frame, hun. It's got like these tinsely, almost like pipe cleaner things on them. That's called a work wreath, and they're layered. So you can make these big wreaths. But the problem with those is they don't fit between like 2 doors and stuff. And they're mainly made for like 21-inch mesh. And 21-inch mesh is more expensive than, well, most of the time 21-inch mesh is more expensive than 10-inch. So that's why when I was making this, I made sure I could do it with 10-inch because it's really hard teaching anybody when you have 21-inch mesh to cut it and everything. So 10-inch is much easier to work with. We're almost done. So once I get all the ribbons in, I will push all the mesh back and put it in its home. And then I will take my wreath, go to your home, and then I'll take my wreath outside and start cutting the phrase.
Where do you get your mesh from?
I get my mesh from wherever it has some. I mostly order my mesh online because anything you really find in the stores is not very good. So I order from Craft Outlet, I order from Trendy Tree, I order from the Wreath Shop, I order from the Tool Shop, Paper Mart. I really like Paper Mart. I know everybody says about the shipping, but when you calculate the shipping to, like, say a roll of mesh, say a normal metallic roll of mesh, I think is $2.02. And I think it's $3.99 at Craft Outlet. You just add the shipping onto the Paper Mart one, and it's still much cheaper than Craft Outlet, even with Craft Outlet's free shipping. So it all depends on what you want. And they have pretty fast shipping, so I'm quite happy with them. And they don't sell out as fast as Craft Outlet does because they're not as popular, right? Everybody orders from Craft Outlet. So you get these small little niche stores, and you may pay a little bit more money for the mesh, but they will probably have it in stock at least. Okay, I have 2 more left, and then I'm done. Yeah, big life crafting on a Saturday night.
You're gifted.
Who's gifted?
You're gifted.
I'm gifted?
Because you got me.
Oh, Dave says it's because I have him. Did you guys all hear about my story of how I forgot? You probably read it, but just for those of you listening, I went to Nova Scotia. I just actually got back 2 days ago. And I went to Nova Scotia on a trip with my daughter and my friend. And we got to the airport. Now, I had booked a car to be picked up at the airport because we were going to be driving all through Nova Scotia. So I booked it online and paid for the insurance and yada, yada, yada. So I get to the airport. Yada, yada. Is that another Loriism?
That's a sign thing.
Oh, I get to the airport and I don't have my credit card. Like, I don't have my credit card. I had a travel MasterCard, which is almost, it's like a prepaid. So you just put as, much money as you want to spend, and you just put it on that card. And that way, if it gets stolen or whatever, there's not much on it. So I had a travel MasterCard, and I also had a MasterCard debit. So I get to the airport, and I had no idea I didn't have my actual credit card on me. I get there, and they're like, well, we don't take prepaid credit card. And I'm like, well, it's a travel MasterCard. Like, it's for traveling. Well, anyways, they didn't take it. None of the car places. There was like 10 car rental places, different rental places at the airport. None of them would take my prepaid. And none of them would take the MasterCard debit. They would take American MasterCard debit, even though we're in Canada. Go figure. But they wouldn't take the Canadian one. They wouldn't take cash. You need a credit card to rent the car. Lady. My friend didn't have her credit card on her either. And we're out in the boonies. Now, Halifax Airport is like on the outskirts of town of Halifax. And our hotel, the first hotel we were staying in, was in Dartmouth. So we needed a car. So after crying and yelling and everything else, and they still wouldn't give us a car, I called Dave and told him what was happening. And he hung up and booked a flight to Halifax. The next day, he flew out from Stony Creek to Halifax, rented a car for me, and came back home. Can you believe that? I can't believe it. He did. I got him to go whale watching with me, though. So, because he did stay over one night because his flight left in the next day. So, but yeah. So, word to the wise: if you're renting a car, make sure, yes, he came to my rescue for sure. It was really nice that he could come out, and we went to Lundenburg. I know there's somebody on here watching from Lundenburg. And we went whale watching out of there. We didn't see no whales. We did see puffins. We seen seals and puffins and some cranes. No whales though. And it was really cold. Like, it was so hot when we left, and then, well, I guess they're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, but still, it was just, now I know why they tell you to bring a jacket. It was freezing, and my back was killing on the waves, but Lauren wanted to see whales and puffins.
We've seen seals.
We've seen seals. Yeah. So, and then after whale watching, I drove him back to the airport, and back home he came. My knight in shining armor. Yeah, he is a sweetie. I'll keep him. I'll keep you, honey. Okay, I think we're done. I did sound like Scott there, didn't I?
You've been watching this.
Okay, so I already put my hanging string in the 2 hanging holes already, and all my zip ties are popped in their hole. So I'm just going to cut the tails off.
What's the other one? The tool. I think you're talking about.
The tool shop.
Oh, tool shop. Is that where you get your thing?
I get mesh wherever I can get it.
Oh, okay. That's probably what you got.
For the past, just since this year, mesh is like so hard to find. Everybody is making wreaths these days. I think with us coming out too, a lot of people are making their own wreaths, so lots of people are buying mesh now. Okay, look at this sucker. He rode on a jet plane. Yes, he did. Okay, so look how full this wreath is. Now, of course, I'm going to do my magic on the door outside. But now I'm going to start pushing my mesh back so you can actually see some of the sign. So what I do is I just kind of grab the ruffle and make an S with it. So it just gives it a nice flow. And then the outside ones, so with that outside piece, you're just going to form it going towards the outside, almost like a V coming out. And then you put your ribbon. Okay, so this one, you push it in. Now if you just scrunch it back, see, I wouldn't have been able to put any more mesh in here. So I'm glad I used every other hole, because this is one full wreath, boy. Okay. Now, of course, you can put as much ribbon and stuff as you want in there.
Perfect ribbon to do a cardinal one.
Oh, a cardinal.
Yeah, do cardinals.
Oh, St. Louis Cardinals.
I'm guessing that's what it is. Is that what you're talking about, Margaret?
Is she a Cardinals fan? Oh, yeah, she must be, because she's glad I did. This has some kind of plastic. These white stripes are like a plastic. I don't know what the heck it is. Netting or something. I don't know. But I'm going to take, once I move all the mesh back, I take my wreaths outside and I just give them a haircut and then don't touch them again. And then I also like to, I fool around, everybody does that, any wreather, they fool around with their ribbon forever. So I always fool around, but I do the final touch when when it's hanging on the door. So again, I just kind of push.
Tried every hole with my strawberry wreath. Couldn't couldn't see the ribbon.
Couldn't see the ribbon.
She tried every hole with the straw.
Oh, well, it should work if you're just using 10-inch mesh. But I'm using 21-inch mesh, so it's a bigger size because 21. What's 21 divided by? So that's actually only 10.5 if you fold it in half. But still, it's doubled, so it's pretty thick.
Yes, from table, so Cardinals.
Cardinals. Do they play the Blue Jays? So you can kind of tuck it to the side. It kind of forms an S shape when you push it in. This is the actual most time consuming thing, is fixing your ribbons and your mesh. It's not even making the wreath, well, I find. And I get frustrated. Anyways, that is it. Although I still got to push mesh back, but I'm not going to make you guys watch me push mesh back. Push mesh back. So if you're thinking of a wreath that you want to make and you can't find a sign, give yourself a try at making your own sign and printing it out.
I have all my materials ready for my horse when my board gets here.
Oh,
I'm doing my best.
Lots and lots of orders went out today. Holy moly. Yeah, and ton on Monday. So I think we're going to be almost caught up. And how many horses were sent out, hon? Do you know?
Many horses.
There was 20. Yeah, the horses, guys, they take a long time to cut. And we're finding too, because they are so big, they take a long time to, well, because they have to be boxed. So usually we're sending it out in bags and stuff, like our round ones with bubble wrap and that. Well, the horses we have to box because they're so big, and we don't want the ears and anything getting ruined. So they take a long time. Guy in the shipping guy is really complaining. It's like, oops, sorry.
Fire.
Huh?
Fire him.
Fire him? I can't.
It's all, yeah, hopefully we're gonna be caught up.
Yeah, we should be caught up by Monday, Tuesday. Now shake it off. I have to trim this, but so you guys got the gist of it. Let's see. Look at this, pretty cool.
What, 30 horses?
30 horses? That's not bad.
No.
You know, you guys remember that the horses are, if you're in a hurry for your order, don't put your horse order on your order form. I would order your horse separately because the horses are being shipped out as they are ordered and made. So we're not putting a time on them because they're being made in between down times of the flower and character wreaths. Okay.
If I wanted to make my own sign, what size do you make it?
I do the circles at 10.5 inches. And you would print it on 11 by 17 paper. Okay. Oh, I don't want to face me. I don't want my garbage. Okay.
Are you going to show how to do the horse?
I did show once, and I am going to do another horse. And I'm going to do the next horse like I did the unicorn. So there's two different ways that I've done the horse. So if you have a look at the horse picture, the horse pictures are done with burlap, and the head of it, the face of it is like a poof method, and the unicorn is done a little bit different, and I used white fuzzy felt on the unicorn.
Is there a tutorial on the Facebook page?
There is a tutorial horse.
On the Facebook page?
Yeah, I did a Facebook Live.
Uh-huh.
I think I did a Facebook Live. Yeah, I did. Anyways, there is a tutorial, and when you do get order the horse, you do get a map of the horse, of the different holes, and so it'll show you where to go and stuff. It's really, really easy. Of course, all our stuff is easy. But anyways, there's my Blue Jays guy. What do you guys think? Not bad, eh? So it was like a quarter of a roll of 21-inch mesh. So one roll of 21-inch mesh will probably make 3 of these. I don't know how much ribbon I used, but most of the pieces were 12 inches in length, except for the stitched ones where I did bows. They were 24. Now, when you are using ribbon, don't tighten the zip ties too tight. You want to have a little bit of slack. Like, it's not going to come out or anything, but if you do it too tight, it'll pull the ribbon down even further, and you don't want to pull it down further. So 12-inch pieces, if you're going to use ribbons, 12 inches is pretty good size. Now, I only did 10 inches on the outside ones because I just want the baseballs peeking out.
DPI do I use for a sign?
What?
DPI.
Oh, I don't know. I never print my own. Barbara, so I always just send it over because I save it always in a PDF, and then I just send it to the Staples.
Can you singe the mesh to stop from fraying?
Yeah, if you want. You can do whatever you want. I don't recommend it, but hey, just remember, people, you're burning plastic. So if you're going to singe edges or you're going to use a tool burner, please at least do it in a ventilated area, or use a respirator, not just a mask, a respirator, because that's toxic. So I try and do most of my wreaths without, I don't really care about the frays. I'll sit on my front porch and trim it. It'll take me an hour or whatever, but I don't care. I sit and trim it. I think I'd rather that than breathing in cancerous fumes, because they are carcinogenic, the plastic. That's why they evacuate people when tire fires. Anyways, that's it, guys. So yeah, so shipping is, what's that, hon?
Tires are rubber.
Yeah, but it's still got plastic in it. Orders are getting out fast and furious. They're working really hard. Horses, lots of them went out yesterday and today, and more on Monday. So yeah, they're coming.
Yes, thank you for your patience.
Yes, thank you for your patience.
We understand that people want them.
Yeah.
We're doing our best, so thank you for your patience.
One good thing is we met with a manufacturer the other day, and hopefully by September, we are going to have them plentiful. That's all I'm going to say. But they are going to be, we may be putting them on Amazon and all that kinds of stuff. So they're going to be able, you're going to be able to buy them a lot faster than us shipping them as well. Now, it would be more expensive, like Amazon is a little more expensive. But if you need it right away, we want to offer our customers other ways to get it. A few of the online stores are going to be carrying our frames too. We just have to finalize things with this big manufacturer.
But we'll always be here.
We'll always be here, yeah. I'll always be on your Facebook page. So anyways, thanks for joining me this Saturday night, where I should be out at my trailer, but I'm not.
When you do image, what size is this? 10.5 inches.
Yeah, the circle I do on the inside is, I always just do a 10.5 inches, and then you don't want to stay too close to the 10.5 inches because you want to see the center of the wreath. So this blue thing is probably about 10 inches, but I have paper. You guys can't see it, but there was a faint gray line that I cut around it, so you'll only see the Blue Jay symbol. So what's that?
We're doing great.
Oh, thank you, Donna. We're trying. We You guys just loved us so much so fast. We appreciate it. We just weren't kind of ready for it. So we had to jump on the wagon and hire people and get more manufacturers, and boy, but that's okay. Keep ordering. We're keeping up too. We've got big stuff coming up. So anyways, thanks again for joining me, and have a great Sunday morning tomorrow. Bye everybody. See you later. Again, can't find my thing.